All right, Steelers fans, welcome into the Knoll Road. We're going to turn to the biggest brain in football, Newbear Lesniewski. We'll turn him loose on the Broderick Jones story, but we do have a new report concerning wide receiver 2. This could be a game changer for the Steelers offense and maybe the missing piece for the offense. So let's do this. Here we go.
Van to the corner of the end zone. Oh, for a touchdown!
Yeah, buddy, I'm Gavin Dawson, 25-year sports radio veteran. With me, as always, Newbear Lesniewski. A good evening to you, sir. The Knoll Road brought to you by Bet Online. Link in the description for $250 in bonus bets when you sign up with us on the Knoll Road. Buddy, cannot wait to get your thoughts on Broderick Jones, but we do have news. We'll start with the latest on wide receiver 2. The Tyreek Hill rumors are back. You probably saw that coming as he was furious on the sidelines as the Dolphins could really post no challenge to the Colts. But Florio's talking about it. He's writing about it tonight over there on Pro Football Talk and says the Steelers, there's already chatter in the aftermath of Sunday's win over the Jets that the all-in Steelers could go even more all-in by making a move for Hill. Yes, they have DK Metcalf at $30 million a year on a 5-year deal, but the Steelers don't have a clear number 2. Hill would be 1B, if not at times 1A to Metcalf. You know, I think the Steelers have some needs. This is a greed move, though. This is an all-in, hey, we have a decent wide receiver room. Let's make this great. And I think you get that jet sweep action coming with Tyreek Hill. Maybe that can help you in your run game a little bit as well. But I think he and DK Metcalf would be around 5th or 6th best wide receiver duo in the NFL. And his salary cap number is so low. Depending on what Miami wants, I'm interested, Newbear. I would say, though, if I had to stack the needs for this team, I don't think wide receiver 2 makes my top 3 right now. So, if you're only going to do one move, I would want to know what the other options are. But, man, I'm greedy. I'm excited. I want to get Aaron Rodgers even more options. So I'd be up for talking with Miami here tonight about Tyreek Hill. Now, there's a lot that comes along with this guy. And, with that being said, there is an update today on domestic violence stuff, as I guess his wife or his ex-wife, I'm not sure exactly what the case is there, but she's renewing the allegations. I guess it's his estranged wife there of Tyreek Hill. Hard to keep everybody straight there.
Yeah, which one? I mean, that's the thing.
Vita Vaccaro.
Like every day there's something else. What you started talking about was the sideline rant and him being furious. And
yeah,
I just can't stop thinking, as much as we've talked about this, and I would agree, him and DK together, nightmare fuel for opposing secondaries. You talk about a guy, obviously DK has the ability to go deep and stretch the field and do a number of different things on the route tree. We saw him get in and out, so explosive. And at his size, I looked at my wife and I go, that dude's like 6'3", 230. And she was like, what? And then you see him next to Calvin Austin, and he moves like Calvin Austin. He's a thoroughbred. Cheetah's cheetah. Having said that, and taking into account all the salary cap stuff, I think I'd rather have Jalen Waddle. Like, I think if you're going to go into Miami and you're going to make a move, not just because he's younger, he costs more. He's younger and he costs more. But people forget he led the league in yards per catch a few years ago. And when you look at what he's done as a number 2 with Cheetah, he would be willing to come in and run with, be complimentary to DK Metcalf. Like, if Cheetah comes here and Cheetah doesn't get the ball, is Cheetah going to be basically a tiny little version of George Pickens? Because we just sent that dude to Dallas.
Yeah, I would hope that you would get best behavior Tyreek Hill for at least a little bit. I think things have gotten toxic. I talk often about how losing just creates so much toxicity, and you take a guy out of a losing environment and into a winning environment. I think for at least a while you would have a honeymoon period for Tyreek Hill, but there's a lot to go on here. I mean, the disrespectful nature of just Tyreek Hill, but then you drill down in Miami and some of the things that's been said and been done. I wouldn't be opposed to just deciding if you're Omar Khan. Look, we got a good thing going. things are cooking. Everybody loves Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers loves everybody. We don't want to potentially introduce a contaminant here into our chemistry. I would totally get that. I would also totally get if you say, hey, as an organization, we don't want to endorse in any way what Tyreek Hill is being accused of from his estranged wife, now one of his other baby mothers, and his girlfriend from college. Is just too much of a track record to bring this kind of situation into Pittsburgh. I wouldn't be opposed to that either. But if we're just talking football, and from a front office perspective, I take the idea that somebody's going to pay this guy. Somebody's going to put him on the football team. Are we putting ourselves at a competitive disadvantage by not considering him?
Yeah, because all I can think about, I called him, Tiny George Pickens, but what you have to talk about is if you're going to do the damn thing, then you got to do it all the way. Randy Moss was the same age with the same type, not as many egregious. Randy Moss, probably a better dude than Tyreek Hill, although some people might argue. But you're talking about guys, gold jacket guys at similar points in their career with injuries and off the field stuff. And the Patriots got him for a 4. So if you're talking about Miami picking up some of the money, even though it is lower than what you would think when you go get into the math and you make the math, then part of the math has to be, what do you compensation perspective? Because Miami, fire sale or not, they have to get stuff in return to try to rebuild the dumpster fire that franchise is becoming.
Yeah, and I think the fact that so much of that money has already been paid to Tyreek Hill, like his base salary is around $10 million for this year. That's all you would be on the hook for. It'd be really interesting to see exactly what they would want. But, I mean, to your Jalen Waddle point, he's in a similar situation where they gave him 3 years and $85 million before last season started. And so much of that was rolled into bonuses. His number is tiny as well. Now, because of that, I would imagine Jalen Waddle would take significantly more compensation, but he would be a better fit. Like between DK and Tyreek Hill, now you have 2-star wide receivers who don't really fit the Aaron Rodgers mold. And we've seen through training camp and now in week 1 how demanding he is that the wide receivers are where they're supposed to be when they are supposed to be there. And I think things can go haywire easily for Aaron Rodgers if he does not, have a certainty with where his players are going to be. I think you're inviting turnover. So there's like schematic issues. Jalen Waddle is just a perfect technician. He's the athlete. He's like the more perfect complement to DK Metcalf. So I'm on the phone with Miami. Maybe we can get both of them.
Yeah, and I was just looking at it because I wanted to make sure you talk about making math. One of the things, you said bonuses and upfront cash. One of the things that's really interesting about Waddle's contract is that I was like, man, how is there so much dead money now? And then it all goes away, but his cap number goes through the roof. And it's because it's also backloaded. So his age 29 and age 30 seasons come with 30 plus million, actually pushing 40 million in his age 30 season, which would be 2028. But what's interesting about this is you can't have this conversation without talking about DK and again, thoroughbreds running alongside, parallel path, wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, clearly established roles. Whatever happens with Aaron Rodgers this year, cameo appearance or not, the future, and these guys being together, you would have that locked up. Tyreek Hill's a rental. Tyreek Hill is you're giving up something to go all in. Tyreek Hill would signal we are all in for real. There is no more messing around. There's no more, oh yeah, we're all in. But we're also trying to set ourselves up for the future, right? This whole now and next thing with all these picks they have next year. Tyreek Hill would be we're all in, which would mean you would then also have to go hunt Jabril Peppers, hunt Justin Simmons, spend every dollar of those 20 million that are out there.
Yes. If you're going to be this close and you have a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers, I think you owe it to yourself. But as I was alluding to earlier, watching the game, I don't think offensively their biggest challenge is wide receiver, So if you're going to go get Tyreek Hill, I also want to know what other options are out there as we segue into the next topic here on the Knoll Road. Let me share this screen and salute to Tommy Jaggy there. Every Broderick Jones pass, block, snap versus Jets.
This is some hard. This is some hard Twitter, man. This is. Whew. I told you this was gonna happen. Like Quinnen Williams was right there, and it was the first play, and then Broderick had a day.
Yeah, I mean it's not just the 3 sacks; it's 4 pressures on top of that.
Yeah,
I mean, just one of those would be one of the worst games for a starting tackle. You'd be in an identity crisis if either of those things happened to you. So I threw out just randomly Trent Williams on Saturday. He did not have the best game for the 49ers in week 1. They did beat Seattle, and dude, Pearsall had a game. So they might be thinking in San Francisco, we got this thing reloaded, we're ready to rock. But I'm scanning the NFL for whatever teams only have one win when we get out of September. Who is your left tackle? And if you're serious, you can't win like this in the NFL playoffs.
How do you get there? How do you get there? Right? That's the thing, is what is this guy's leash? Because I was trying to figure out not how I was going to talk myself into Broderick Jones, because I'm not off the Broderick Jones bus. You can't get off 6'5", 310, sub-5, all the traits and all the athleticism and also the fight. Like, even when he gets, like, he's in there, he's not perfect, but he's working. And if you're willing to work, then we can work with you, especially, when you have all those traits. This isn't just a case of a guy trying to get by on what the good Lord gave him, what he wakes up every day with that some other people don't have. He does work. What I'm trying to kind of rewind and think about with a lot of this stuff, because when you see him settle, when you see him lock in, when you see him fight and extend, when he's right, it looks the way it's supposed to. When it's not, this is what it came down to for me. When Muhammad Ali learned that he could take a punch, it was the worst thing that could have happened for his career, because all the float like a butterfly, sting like a bee stuff meant that forever you couldn't even touch the guy. He was going to talk shit, and then he was going to dodge everything you threw at him. The second he learned he had an iron jaw too, he could be a little bit lazy. He could take a round off. And the thing that's so hard about Sunday ball is that every one of those dudes was the best guy where they came from too, and they come in all shapes and sizes. So you're going to get Quinnen Williams on one play, who's about as big and as bad and as nasty as it gets, and then you're going to get Nakobe Dean or Jermaine Johnson or someone somewhere in between, where you just went from having to buck up and bow your neck against Quinnen Williams, and now here comes this little guy, and maybe you think I don't have to be as perfect. Maybe you think I don't have to take this rep as seriously, and then that dude works your ass.
He certainly looks like a young guy that's trying to figure it out. Maybe he's overthinking. He's not reacting. I think his confidence is low, and because of those reasons, I think you can clear those hurdles and come out on the other side a significantly different player. I just don't have this year to wait. I said in the short reaction show that I did last night, just to kind of tease today's longer form show where we could get your thoughts on Broderick Jones. I said, well, I forget what I said last night about Broderick Jones.
You said a bunch of different things, but I think one of the things that you're getting to is that you can't let this guy be the thing that keeps you. You can't let 8's blind side be the thing that keeps you from the 7th Lombardi.
He looks like a swing tackle. He played right tackle last year. He's playing left tackle. He's a young developing guy in the league. And you mentioned the traits. I love it. I would counter by saying the NFL is riddled with first round busts who had all the traits. They're everywhere. So I don't want to get in the habit as an organization with championship standards of thinking our guy is going to grow out of this learning curve situation. Sometimes the jump from college to the pros is just too much.
Yeah, and let's forget this. This is a young guy who also is young on his football timeline. He didn't play. He's not like these COVID quarterbacks who are 27 years old coming out, right? He was a young guy coming out. It was raw, and it was all in front of him. It was all potential. It was all, what is this guy? He's a lump of clay, and it's one of the best damn lumps of clay that money can buy, and it cost them to move up and go get him in the first round. And you looked at this young man coming through the Pittsburgh International Airport in flip-flops, looking like he didn't have a care in the world because he knew he was him, and aura on 11, let's go. And we were all super excited. And then the very first thing they did was move him to right tackle. And they have mismanaged this kid at every step. And now we're saying, oh, he's supposed to just be able to flip a switch because he is a first-round kid and because he does have those traits and because this is Sunday. And so that's why I'm saying is like, I get you, and I'm willing to at least meet you in the middle and say he can't be the reason. We can't wait. But do we have no patience? If he comes out and he locks up Abdul Carter and he locks up Brian Burns, if he comes out in week 2 against those dudes and Dexter Lawrence and company, like, because he's going to get the same kind of thing that we just saw from Quinnen Williams and company across that Mean Green machine. Those dudes are better than we thought they were.
Yes.
We think these dudes on the other side of the Meadowlands are good, are elite, should come correct and make this dude's life a living. If he shows up this week and looks the part, then the narrative completely changes.
There you go. Yeah, and I'm willing to be patient with him, but in the meantime, I want to find out everybody else that's out there, and I think sometimes front offices, scouting departments have a weakness, and if you look at Fitanu and Jones, I don't think they got either of these right. I would be disappointed overall. And sometimes it's not a misdevelopment, it's a misevaluation. It's like if David Carr hadn't got his brains beat in his rookie year with the Houston Texans, maybe he becomes Joe Montana. No, he couldn't handle it, and him getting his brains beat in was a sign that his processing and decision making was not good enough to be an NFL quarterback, and he was fighting an uphill battle. Would have needed a perfect offensive line with 3 great wide receivers to be productive.
So what's interesting about there is, so you said perfect offensive line with 3 elite wide receivers. How about 3 elite draft picks, right? So Fitanu, Jones, Zach Frazier. Oh, by the way, you hit on the 4th rounder. Mason McCormick looks like a player.
Yeah.
And you sign Sayamalu. This should be a pretty good unit. Let's not forget that, like, as much as we want to signal out and the turnstile emoji, all the thing, meme city for Broderick Jones, USA, as tough as this week was for the young man, shouldn't this whole line be better? Shouldn't they be able to run the damn ball? Shouldn't they be able to keep, like, it's not just Broderick Jones. It's like, you're talking about the other guys who are struggling as well. Pat Meyer is catching a lot of heat. And when you talk about elite, truly elite scheme, truly elite player development is about cohesion. And all of the questions, comments, and concerns that we've had about Coach T not letting them throw the ball in the middle of the field and the turnover margin, the turnover battle, all the jokes about punting on 3rd down that I've made myself, how much of this dysfunction and how much of this, like, with purpose, on purpose, for a purpose, where, we're shying away from the way that we do things holistically as a scheme, trickles down into the individual stuff on a position by position and a player by player basis, to the point where, you start talking about how we slide protect or how we help or how we, do or don't get things done. You wonder what the message is in that room. Like, are we now just saying Broderick Jones is supposed to be good enough to go out there and get the job done, and then week 1 he goes up against some pretty damn talented players and he struggles a little bit? But, like, what's the message in the room? What's the work in the room? And what has it been for the past 2 years where this young man gets put on the right side and then has to battle injury and inconsistency and getting dogged on all sides, where, like, when we take up for the young man, it's in a hurry up and wait because Dan Moore Jr. was in the way. And if you want to see a Twitter, if you want to see some just spectacle of social media, go check out Carolina Panthers Twitter when it comes to Dan Moore and all the money he got.
I mean, it's well taken. I think the message to the locker room would be the standard. Okay. We love you. We believe in you. That's why we drafted you. That's why we'll continue to pay you. But when it comes to game day, it's performance based. And if you're not good enough, you are damn right. We are going to be looking for a better player, just like you would want at any other position. If you're a tackle and your running back keeps running into your ass, you'd be like, can we get a new running back in here? Right. So look at it from everybody's perspective. It is what is best for the team at all times. And I think it's an absolute trap to think we can get by with average tackle play, especially with an older quarterback. Okay, we got 20 minutes down and we still got plenty of time to go here in the Knoll Road. And up next, buddy, let me get some Juan Thornhill in here. I have a cut queued up, but let me lead in with this headline here. Steelers Depot, salute to Joe Clark. He wrote about it. We might not have been prepared is the thumbnail or is the title there from Thornhill. we've got a lot of things we got to work on already on the defensive side. I just feel like we might not have been prepared for a running quarterback because we've seen a guy like Aaron Rodgers in camp where he's not
I'm
really
gonna fucking lose my mind, dude. Their quarterback was in your building last year. Shut up. Like, what are we doing?
I mean, that's a good point. Usually it's me going dark on this. I guess, okay, so maybe it was an excuse I made for him last night immediately after the game. I just think it's damn hard to stop these quarterbacks that can run like this. And if I'm a GM, I'm aggressively looking for them. I think I would have one. I would draft one every year. And I'm like, damn it, one of these guys, Jalen Milroe in the 5th round, is going to hit and be my next guy. But I just think it's such a weapon. I'd go offensive line, give me 2 runners and a running quarterback that can throw. And I would bring to the table exactly what the Jets did. Now, the way I think I'm throwing bail or maybe even caping for the Steelers here is you got back-to-back games, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and then this Jets 3-headed monster that they threw at you. That luckily that's not normal. And as we saw last night, this is hilarious that I talked about this yesterday, then the Ravens went out and couldn't get it done in the final 4 minutes. In the last 4 minutes, suddenly that ability to run doesn't hold much water when it comes to determining who's going to win. You have to be able to make chunk plays in the passing game. The Ravens did not trust Lamar Jackson on 3rd down. They didn't trust him on 4th and 3 to go for it. I mean, that should be easy money. So I do think that the Steelers against more traditional offenses have a great run defense. They got to figure this out just in case they do have to play the Ravens again in the playoffs.
I mean, let's not forget that in Baltimore brought King Henry into Ravens flock. They had Lamar's number, and they lived rent-free in his head. Derrick Henry changes everything. He's a freak of nature. He actually, Derrick Henry last night said, this is on me because of the fumble. And so then you bring leadership into it as well. Work ethic. Guy wakes up every day, doesn't eat or drink anything till like 3 or 4. He intermittent fasts like every day to try to reset his 23. I mean, the dude's he takes his job seriously. And before him, the Pittsburgh Steelers really, really, really made Lamar's life a living hell. And then you see what happened on the way to Cancun last year, and you go, oh, now the narrative's flipped. Everything's changed. And I think one of the things I really liked about yesterday was you saw different looks, you saw different chances being taken, and you saw different guys at different levels of the field, doing different things. Than you saw TJ Watt doing what he does. You know what you didn't see, and this is why I'm willing to be more patient on Broderick Jones, because if you're right on him, then you don't have to worry about that. And if you're right on Fatanu and you're right on Frazier, you don't have to worry about that for a decade. And you're back to talking about Pouncey and DeCastro and company. And the way things typically work around here is Cam Hayward holding this team hostage, as much as we all joked about Aaron Rodgers all summer, and Keanu Benton basically being Mozzie Smith East.
Yeah, that was rough, and I think we need to talk about when it comes to the run defense, the personnel. Cam Hayward looked rusty. Benton wasn't good enough. But Devin McCourty said right here, I got the quote, they're not real thumpers, talking about the Steelers' lack of physicality at linebacker. Peyton Wilson did not have his best game. Patrick Queen was okay, but we talked about him on Saturday. Y.A. Black wasn't good. I mean, I got to eat crow on Y.A. Black. I thought he was going to have a breakout performance.
Well, and I got to eat crow on Peyton Wilson, because I said it was going to be Roquan and Patrick Queen when they were together, in Baltimore, and they were both All-Pro a couple years ago. Peyton Wilson took a goose egg. Peyton Wilson couldn't get off a block. He was playing peekaboo. Looked like you could have put up a tent with my kids and had a better statistical day than he did yesterday. And it's frustrating because you have all this talk about what guys are and what they're going to be. I'm one of the best cover linebackers in the NFL. I'm going to play at all 3 levels. Look at TJ Watts in the B gap. Line up and play. Like, you're going to get punched in the mouth by Lamar and King Henry. You're going to get run ragged by T and Jamar and Mr. Burrow, the prohibitive favorite for MVP. And that stuff's not going to stop. Like, Joe Flacco is not going to stop trying to find Jerry Jeudy. Like, it's every week you're going to get challenged. So to sit here and say we weren't prepared for a guy that we brought in to potentially, be the future of our team, that we knew inside and out, that we thought so little of, that we just let him walk. And to then go through the machinations of this thing and say we're going to be an all-time great historic defense 2 weeks ago and have your first headline be after the game, we weren't prepared? Like,
Yeah. I mean, he also said, I'm not concerned about it. I think they're just trying to do the we got each other's back and we believe thing in the media, but publicly or privately, hopefully they're more accountable.
the narrative this week is holy shit. The Steelers shootout. Aaron Rodgers has no mobility left, but he still has plenty of magic. If they don't turn the New York Football Giants into Swiss cheese this week, this is a completely different conversation.
Or the Seattle Seahawks, you mean?
Oh shoot, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? My brain just completely melted on me. Yes, the Seattle Seahawks.
But yes, the Giants did look horrible.
Yes.
And whoever plays them
Yes.
is in for a really good day, especially because they can't compete. Okay, we have about 4 or 5 minutes left here in
the
this.
reason I'm saying that too is like you had Garrett Wilson this week, and you knew that was all they had, and he still went and ate. Now you got Jackson Smith-Njigba who went crazy, and you got Cooper Kupp who can still Cooper Kupp. You know exactly what you're getting into. If they have to make Darnold see ghosts, they have to take this to the other team as opposed to being like, oh, well, we'll just hope that 8 still has enough left in the tank.
Yeah, that's not good enough. You have to be able to play much better in a lot of different ways. I think if you're going to be able to beat better teams. Okay, just a few minutes left in the show here. I did want to take a moment to talk about things we really liked in the game. I showed you that Aaron Rodgers clip of his 4th touchdown. Career games with 4+ touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Updated Aaron Rodgers, now your leader, surpassing Tom Brady. Rodgers now has 29. The comprehensive list of QBs with 240, 4 TDs and 0 picks in their debut over the last 60 seasons. Aaron Rodgers, end of list. I think the coolest thing about this is Rodgers just confirmed, not washed up, still got it. Keep me upright, give me a little bit of help, and we can do whatever it takes to win a football game. I for a while, for a good part of a decade, I thought Aaron Rodgers was the best quarterback in the NFL. I don't know how far off he is from that. Like, if you could protect him, if you put him on the Eagles right now, I think we might be saying he's the 5th best quarterback in the league.
You said that last night, which I thought was real ballsy. You talk about what's the type of bell? Is it the Liberty Bell between your legs? The big ball, Sam Cassell, big balls dance.
Oh yeah.
Church bells. You go through this and unpack what he did. What's so wild about it is you expect them to now turn it up. You expect TJ Watt to go have 15, 18. You expect Cam Hayward to get right. You expect them to go make a move if Keanu Benton really is just wrong. And there's all these other pieces and parts. And the one thing I will say is I'm not going to be greedy, and I'm not just going to talk shit and engagement farm myself, because part of why they got beat, part of why they gave up plays yesterday is they took chances, and they haven't done that for years. They've been so vanilla and so bland and so unwilling to take risks that obviously it's easier to say, yeah, we learned some things and it's on tape, and you do that in a win. At the same time, when you play Josh Allen, when you play Patrick Mahomes, when you play Justin Herbert, when you play Lamar Jackson, when you play Joe Burrow, it takes taking risks to get the job done. Look at the Sunday Night Football game. You're talking about 40 points on both sides. There's Bosa's and all kinds of other names and money getting paid to Ed Oliver's to go through the laundry list of guys on the Bills and the Ravens. From Kyle Hamilton and Roquan Smith might be the best in the league at their respective positions, and they gave up 40. Like, there's gonna be nights where that's what it takes to get it done.
Absolutely. And Rodgers showed he's up to the challenge. Now, get this man a running game, for crying out loud. It's great when you're taking risks. If you can have an eraser like Jalen Ramsey,
unbelievable
way to conclude that game. 87.5 coverage grade, 6 receiving yards allowed, 2 forced incompletions over 24 coverage snaps. You love the attitude and the energy that he brought for a sassy kind of guy. Boy, he is an absolute dog.
Well, and everyone's so focused on the hit at the end. First of all, terrible to see the ball. The clock and all the other things.
Dive for it.
Yeah. At the same time, people sleep on like the you talk about the pass interference that wasn't called. Ramsey had a killer deflection right before that. I mean, he was just unbelievable. Big players, big stage, big moment, big plays, right? He's one of those dudes. He's going to talk the talk and then he's going to walk the walk.
And to finish up, how about I take you to the stage and we'll get some Mike Tomlin here on one of the other clutch performers in the Steelers win.
And I can't say enough about Boz. Man, our kicker is a serial killer. Man, he got a low pulse rate. He can't wait to deliver.
I love it, especially on a day where, I mean, Cleveland lost because they missed a kick. Who else lost because they missed a Atlanta lost because they missed a kick. They were missed like 36 to 40-yard kicks all over the place. And to have Boswell step in there and have that feeling of confidence in your guy, I think that's something you can take for granted. But I definitely want the rest of the year after that. When a career high for the game, week 1.
Well, he had the Steph Curry too, right? He didn't even watch it. He knew it as soon as it left his foot, it was good. You talk about church bells. I mean, he is one of one. I mean, the dude doesn't even practice and no one cares. And he's a kicker and he wears his hat just like you, and he walks around, bow-legged. No one cares because he does what he did. And for the record, bring a couple bucks forward. When you guys get done with fixing Broderick Jones, Keanu Benton, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, wherever this thing goes, and there's a couple bucks left in the cookie jar, just go cut a check, whatever it is. Just because at the end of the day, he's also one of those guys who's not afraid to speak his mind when things. You remember the thing where he went viral for when the Matt Canada experience was Canada was high-fiving people after a big win. And Boz is in the tunnel coming through going, "It's not because of you." He's the best, and it's a silly thing to say, but like I draft him on every fantasy football because I don't want to have to think about it. You just know he's going to drill it from wherever it's lined up, and then he's going to go give you a little bit of business afterwards too.
Great stuff, Newbear. The Knoll Road brought to you by Bet Online. If you need an online sports book with integrity, the fastest payouts guaranteed, maybe you're in a state that doesn't have access to it, or you just want access to racebook, poker, esports, all kinds of great stuff, live betting. They got it all at Bet Online. And if you need, we have a link in the description for our referral, and you can get up to $250 in bonus bets when you sign up with the Knoll Road. Okay, we'll be back midweek here to preview this Seattle Seahawks Week 2 matchup, and with breaking news anytime between now and then. And until next time, we will see you on the Knoll Road.